Okay, we're back. It's been a while since our last video. We've been pretty busy around here, so I haven't had a chance to do too many videos. Today, like I promised back then, we're going to do some inside stuff, mechanical. We had our YZ325 shock rebuilt. Most of us are familiar with typical standard motorcycle shock. You have your spring, you have your damper, straightforward, your two tie points. With these modern bikes, a little more sophisticated. You actually have your damper system, your gas system, your valving, and your adjustment upper and lower. We will be putting this shock back together. What happened to this shock was it sat inside in a heated area, and the seals that hold the oil and the gas in here had dried out, releasing, I think there's 150 psi gas plus damping fluid leaked out, and the shock was pretty well useless. We'll be putting this back together. We'll be putting back on we're replacing with the Race Tech set spring for weight. The stock spring is more for 140 to 150. This here particular coil spring rate is for 170 to 180 pounds, which I'm in that league again, so might work good for me. So we'll be going to the assembly of this. We'll be putting the spring on it, and the hardware, and then we'll be installing it in the bike. Okay, people wanted to see what the old seal that sat in here. There's the seal that's been replaced with a new one. Simple little unit. So that was the seal that had failed in this and lost all the damping. And we also have over here, in case this is the actual stock factory spring. Also in this shock, there's been valving modifications for high performance done by aftermarket company. Also Race Tech had done it. These are some of the old stock parts. And this will be the new upgraded coil we're putting on. And also there was some questions about these marks on here. What had happened back when the bike was actually quite new, the shock, these rings here which tightened down the shock had backed off, and the shock had come off its perch, and not the shock but the coil had rubbed against the side of the thing. It's just cosmetic. There's no mechanical issue with that. So started here. We are first, we're just going to drop in this coil. Coil goes in like that. This here tag is getting in our way. Just bear with us. I'll just pull this tag off. This is from when we had it sent out to be professionally pressurized with special nitrogen gas and stuff. So, okay. So. Oh, wrong way. So that goes in like that. This is I'm sliding up a dampener. This slides, spring slides slides over the shock, comes down. There. Not a super complicated task. We spin down our adjustment rings. And the coil is now back installed onto the shock. Push this little bumper down there. The next part of the plan is to install the shock back into the bike, put the bike back together, and the reason I'm not adjusting this with lock ring down yet, there's a sag setting. That's where when we put the shock on the bike and you sit on it, the seat will drop a set point. It's usually about an inch or so for your weight. Everybody's weight's different, so you adjust it for different for the weight, and that gives it the sag that gives it that last little bit of float where you're not like over tight or too loose where the spring is like bouncing in the middle there. So that'll be the next part of our video. Before we throw on the shock, I've had this kicking around for a while and never had a chance to put it on, especially because you got to pull the shock off to put this on. This is the most convenient time right now. I got the shock off, but this is actually a lowering link. It's a suspension link. It's for lowering your suspension on the rear of the bike. I'm a short guy. I've always struggled. This bike's a monster. I've struggled on my tiptoes. Like I said, because I'm a short guy. This will, I can drop the seat height 27 millimeters with this. This link bolts in underneath the swing arm, and I can adjust it. It actually goes both ways. I can give it more height or I can lower it. So I will be lowering it. To make it a little more rideable for me, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, we got both of them out. There's the new one compared to the old one. We'll be installing the new one, but I just wanted to show you a comparison. They look the same. The only difference is that the new one has an adjustable cam on the far end. It's an elliptical which changes the connection point and changes the geometry. So we got it in. We have a pin up here. You see your elliptical cams. I have it set for furthest away from the center axis. You have to be careful when you're putting it in. There's a center shaft. If you can see there, there's needle bearings. The kit comes with new seals, but you've got to put the shaft through there without knocking out the new needle bearings. So it's just a matter of sliding this up, putting the pin through, and then we can finish installing the rear shock. So you can see we got her all bolted in, all our bolts, and that we greased and everything, cleaned them and re-greased them so they're not wearing. The shock in the center, you can see there's tied in. And she's all bolted in up top. So the shock Okay, so we're all in. We got the link in. RT suspension. That was Chris Hoyland. He's in Alberta. I'm not sure if he's doing it anymore, but I heard he went pro with the Supercross guys. I'm not sure if he's in Alberta anymore, but if he is, he's like one of the best. So yeah, if you can get a hold of him, if you need shock work done. I'm not being paid by him or anything, but that's who I used to get to do my work. So yeah, no, so I got it in, and the next part we will be putting the rest of this beast back together, and we will keep you updated.